My Hero Academia Chapter 231, Path. So wow, what a curveball of a chapter in an arc that just keeps getting better. I didn't expect any of this, and I don't think anyone did, but I'm certainly pleasantly surprised by it, and I hope that you are too. But other than that, let's get into it. So we're opening up with the ticking clock of this arc being established as Gigantomachia officially makes his way to Deka City, because in the end of the previous chapter we saw that Yujiko prematurely woke him up because things weren't looking too good for the League of Villains and they needed some assistance. So when is he going to make it there? Not too sure. I mean, he's not too far and he can move extremely fast, probably as fast as Nerf All Might can move. So he'll probably make it there within the next 5 chapters. I don't think any later than that. So after that, we're going into the twist of this chapter, and just the twist of this arc in general, because Hawks is making his return to this story, and that I did not expect him to see him in this arc. I expected him to see him at the end of it, not like in the middle of it, how we are right now, or at least 3/4 of the way through, I assume. But it's awesome. I'm glad that he's back. I love Hawks. He's one of my favorite characters. Maybe that's a little cliche. I don't care. I like him. So in a huge twist, Hawks just straight up abducts Best Jeanist, and this is a huge surprise. None of us expected this. I mean, like I said, none of us expected Hawks even showing up in this arc. So this is a lot to take in. But also let me clarify, in case anyone is unfamiliar or unaware of this, Hawks is playing 3 sides simultaneously. So it seems like he is most loyal to the government, you know, the same group of people that Gran Torino has been working with as of late. But of course he is a hero, so he has ties to them, and as we see, he has ties to the League of Villains as per request of the government in the first place. So the whole reason he is going after Best Jeanist is from the request of Dabi, who is of course the mouthpiece of Tomura. So this is the first time that they are recontacting each other since their whole little incident in chapter 192, or 191, it's one of those chapters, when we see Hawks encountering Dabi in like some back alley, and he has the blade out, holding it to him. So that's why he's like sorry about last time, because they got kind of heated in their last interaction. So then Dabi's like, I want you to prove just how anti-establishment you really are. This time, make it someone else, not the number 1. So of course, he's talking about the Pro Hero arc here, when he originally got Hawks to recruit one of his contemporaries to be a suitable test subject against the high-end Nomu. However, Dabi didn't know that he was going to get Endeavor. He really didn't want Endeavor because he was, you know, a little too powerful for what they were trying to do at that time. But also at the same time, Hawks didn't know about, you know, how things were going to go down, like in the middle of the city and all the chaos that it was going to cause. So there was miscommunication there initially, and we're seeing that there still is miscommunication now. Because after he has captured Best Jeanist, he's like, whoa, where are they? You know, I haven't been hearing anything from them. This is very unusual. Things aren't going the way that I thought they were. So this is the second time that plans are going awry between Hawks and Dabi, and just, you know, this whole little pseudo-alliance that they have going on in general. So why does Dabi and the League of Villains want Best Jeanist? Well, it's really unsure at this point, because we know that they're not really trying to test the high ends anymore, because that was their original motivation before. So I guess him saying anti-establishment means that maybe they just want to just off Best Jeanist, like maybe record it, or I don't know, send a message to everyone that like, hey, you know, we're serious here, so yep, here's one of your top heroes. Here's number 3, and then they just like behead him or something on live TV or something like that. Or maybe Yujiko wants to use Best Jeanist as like a test subject to make him into a Nomu or something else, something like that. Maybe that's how they send their message, like, look what we did to your boy. We made him into this crazy monster. Deal with that. I don't think he's after his quirk or anything, like he wants to take his quirk, because remember, All For One wasn't interested in Best Jeanist's quirk originally because it takes a lot of skill and practice to become effective. And he kind of just wants something you can pick up on the go. Speaking of that encounter, when All For One like blew up the warehouse with Best Jeanist in it and everyone else who was there, you know, with his compressed arm air blast thing they could do, it took out one of Best Jeanist's lungs. Like, we're finding that out in this chapter. That's insane, and it's really too bad, because Best Jeanist is a pretty cool character, and it seems like he's completely done at this point, which is too bad, because, you know, like I said, he's a great character. So I don't think Best Jeanist is going to be fighting in this arc, because he seemingly is nerfed. I don't think he's going to be really effective with one lung at this point. But that brings us to the end of this little sequence when Hawks has the bag with him, and he's holding and he's touching his bag, and the reference is pointing to this bag. So what's in the bag? I have no idea, guys. I think it's purposely left to be this mysterious, as we don't even really have a hint as to what it could be. I assume it has to be something that he's going to either give to Dabi or show to Dabi, something, because he has the bag with him when he's going to meet Dabi. Like, that's the beginning of this chapter. He's waiting to meet Dabi, but he doesn't show up, and he has the bag with him. So maybe it's proof that he was going to show Dabi in order to show that he has Best Jeanist. Maybe it's something that Best Jeanist owns. Maybe it's a part of him. Maybe it's his hand or his finger. I doubt he's doing that. But maybe it's something that the League gave to him so he can give back to them. Maybe it's something Yujigo developed. Maybe it's the little Johnny Nomu and he's waiting to use the teleportation quirk for something. It really remains to be seen, but there is significance to this bag. Also, let me point out that there's a chance that Hawks shows up in Deka. And, like, I don't know, helps them take down the Liberation Army at the very end, possibly, because Hawks, his quirk allows him to, like, hear things that are way out of his vicinity, and he's able to track down things. Kind of similar to Gigantomachia, just without the sense, the smelling sense. This is kind of like coming from the vibration of his feathers. So maybe he tracks them down, and whatever is in his bag is going to be coming back to be of use in this arc, possibly. So then it cuts back to Deka City, and we see Dabi is still fighting against Geten, or Geten, Geten. That is the true name of the Ice Commander. We thought it was Apocrypha in the previous chapter, but that was apparently not the case. And then we see Shigaraki and Spinner working together, and this is a nice little moment. And we're seeing that, like, Tomura is completely delirious from his lack of sleep in the battles that he's been in. But he's also kind of becoming more caring in this state, because Spinner's like, hey, Shigaraki, are you alright? And he's like, how about you? Maybe we should have waited instead. So it's like he does care, which is interesting. But also, like, when Twice comes in to save them, actually, Twice literally saves Tomura, because we see, like, a bunch of fodder on a roof are, like, slinging all these projectiles at him, and Twice just jumps in the way and saves him, actually sacrifices some of his clones in order to save Shigaraki. So that's a nice little moment. And he's like, whoa, did you seriously multiply yourself? Good job. Incredible, Twice. Now, would you mind opening up a path to the tower while you're at it? So, yeah, they're working their way to get to the tower. That is, like, the whole objective of here, you know, save Giran, who is in the tower, defeat the leader, who's also in there. But they're also clarifying, or should I say Tomura is clarifying that, like, look, we're going to let Gigantomachia take down all the fodder in the city and everything, and maybe even Twice, you could take care of it too. But the leader, he's got to die. We're taking him down personally. So then Hanabata shows up, and he's one of the commanders of the Liberation Army, the politician to be exact. And I think this whole sequence with him giving his weird speech and pumping up the fodder is revealing to us what his quirk is. So it's not outright said in this chapter. We don't get a little narration box showing what it is. But the dialogue from Spinner here, I think, is telling us. So Spinner's like, what? Every one of his rallies, the citizens are becoming more and more fired up. So I guess this is his quirk. He just has the ability to empower people through speeches. This is more or less the same thing that Bello Betty could do in One Piece, you know, one of the Revolutionary Army commanders. Hey, that's interesting right there, because Bello Betty is a commander of the Revolutionary Army, and Hanabata is the commander of the Liberation Army. So, Horikoshi, I doubt he's doing that, but there is certainly similarities and parallels to be drawn here. So that's kind of interesting. You know, he has like a buff quirk. That's different. I take it that he's not a fighter. You know, he probably just sits back and buffs everybody, which is kind of cool. I always appreciate those characters, especially when you're playing games and you're in a party or something and you have that one friend who can, you know, just sit back and help everybody out. I'm sure this is going to come back later. I'm sure that he is going to use his quirk on, like, Reed Destra or whoever else they're going to be fighting in this arc and give them a buff, you know, possibly. So then it lingers on Spinner, who's like, what should I do? We can't afford to exhaust Shigaraki any more than this. What is it that I ought to do? And Spinner hasn't really been doing much in this arc. He's kind of just been sitting on the fence. You know, he's real conflicted and whatnot, but I think he might actually get his hands dirty in the next coming chapters, hopefully, or I really don't want to see Spinner turn to the Liberation Army. I want him to stay with the League. I like the way that his character is developing, but I just want to see more from him, and I think we're going to get it here. I think we're finally going to get the reveal of what Spinner's quirk is. I mean, we have to get to it because we've gotten the developments on Tomura, we've gotten developments on Dabi, we've gotten developments on Twice, we got developments on Toga. So, you know, the only one left is Spinner. And Spinner, we haven't even seen his quirk. So his development is just the reveal of it. Let me also put it out there that it's a possibility that Spinner doesn't have a quirk, and that's just what his thing is, and maybe that leads to more significance later on in the story, but not too sure about that. So if we go back to when Spinner was like first revealed back in the training camp arc, when Mandalay took him down, she was like, you know, why didn't you use your quirk? Or what is your quirk? Or she says something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I'm pretty sure she says, what's going on with you? What's his quirk? I don't know what it is. So, you know, why didn't he use it then? Because he was being restrained by Mandalay, and, you know, that was it. He was being arrested or whatever, so he would have used his quirk then to save himself, but he didn't. And that kind of led me to believe that he didn't have a quirk, but the fact that they kind of focus on it, and it's kind of up in the air, and they have yet to really talk about it until now, leads me to believe that maybe he has some kind of quirk that he can't control. Maybe it's like too powerful and he doesn't use it because it's either going to hurt him or hurt everyone else, or maybe both. You know, maybe it's kind of like Dabi's quirk, you know, if he uses it too much it hurts him, but in this case if he just uses it at all it just wrecks him. Maybe it could be like how Izuku was using One For All in the beginning, maybe something like that. Remains to be seen, but I hope we get the development soon. So then the chapter ends with Twice encountering Reed Destro at the top of the tower, and this is just a clone. The original Twice still doesn't have his mask on, and he has Toga in his possession, so they're just hiding somewhere. This is a clone in case anyone was curious about that. But we see him running into Reed Destro, and I like this panel because we see that Skeptic's clones are still there from where he left them in the previous chapter, so that's kind of funny. But also, you know, the whole little joke that he's throwing at Reed Destro here about his receding hairline. This is a callback to when I think we're first introduced to Reed Destro in chapter 218 or 219. Reed Destro himself actually calls back to that chapter, and he was like, unlike Miyashita, your punchlines pack no punch. So Miyashita was like that bear-looking assistant secretary dude that he had, that he just put in a headlock and like crushed his neck and whatever else he did after he insulted him. It's interesting that he's calling back to that, because the only reason why I even know Miyashita's name is because I reviewed that chapter, and it just reminded me of that. So where is all of this headed? Well, as of right now, I don't think this is going to work in the favor of Twice or the League of Villains in general. This is more advantageous to the Liberation Army that Twice is up here, because we have to remember that they want Twice for his quirk. Skeptic was originally going after him because his quirk benefits them. They want to copy Reed Destro, so I think this is the device that's going to get us here. Twice is up here. We know that it's a clone. It's not the actual Twice, so the stakes are, you know, not raised here. We're not really concerned about his well-being. But I do think that they're going to take this Twice, and they're somehow going to force him to use his quirk to duplicate Reed Destro, or duplicate whoever they really need him to. But it looks like Reed Destro is going to be getting into a fight here, or maybe just the beginning of a fight, because we see like that Rorschach thing taking over his face in the very last panel when he's like, your punch is packed no punch. We see that stuff taking over his face, so that's kind of like his mask that he wears. We also saw it after he killed Miyashita back in chapter, I don't know, 218 or 219. I don't remember exactly, but I think this is like what happens when he's ready to fight. This is like his battle mode. He goes into his costume or whatever. It's also the same thing that Destro originally had, so it's like, of course, paying homage to that. So I think that's where things are headed, but man, I really can't wait to see what happens in the next chapter. So let me know what you guys think about this one. Where do you think this whole little final sequence is going? What do you think is going to happen with Hawks? What's in the bag? Tell me what's in the bag. And if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A video that I do on this channel. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.